Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So for today's video, I let my Instagram followers pick my eye makeup. So if you would like to see how I created this eye look, then stay tuned. So I popped up a poll on my Instagram stories a little while ago, and you guys really just wanted me to do the most today. So majority of you guys said you wanted a multiple cut crease. So that is what we're doing today. So I've just zoomed you guys up super close so you can see what I'm doing. So taking the Morphe M515 brush, I'm just picking up a deep reddish shade and packing that under my brow bone. My preferred method of applying eyeshadow is just packing the eyeshadow on and then blending it out and then going in again and just making sure that I've applied eyeshadow everywhere I want it. This method is just going to allow for you to get the best pigmentation and opacity from your eyeshadows. Once the eyeshadow is all packed on, I just wipe my brush off on some tissue just to get rid of any excess product, and then I slightly buff out the edges of the shadow I've put down. I'm now picking up a really vibrant bright red and I'm placing that just above the deeper red. So the way I do this is just pack the color on the edge as well as a little bit above the shade I've just placed down. And then I just blend them together. So it's okay if this step's a bit messy because you'll go in at the end and fix it up. I'm now picking up the Chic Cosmetics Nightwind palette and I'm taking the shade Finster, which is a gorgeous yellow shade, and I'm going to be using that to blend out the red. So I basically use the same method every time I apply an eyeshadow. I just wipe my brush off in between colors to make sure that they don't go muddy and that they show up the color they are supposed to be. I remember when I first started playing with eyeshadow, I would never wipe my brush off and colors that were really light would just never show up the way they were supposed to. My yellows wouldn't show up yellow. It was just a mess. Now I'm just going back in with the deeper red and the light red and just finishing off my blend. I'm now picking up the Anastasia Beverly Hills Eye Primer and I'm going to go ahead and clean up that line. So the way I like to do this is to go in and just line out exactly where I want to cut it. The brush I'm using here is the Crease shading brush. This is the best brush I've used for creating sharp lines and cutting your crease. It's just super thin and works really well. So once I've lined that out and I know exactly where I want to clean up, I go in with a wet wipe and just wipe that all off and make sure that there is no excess eyeshadow on my lid. So the only purpose of doing this is to just make sure that there's no excess eyeshadow on your eyelid. So basically I find a lot of the time eyeshadows will mix with your primer and you just really won't have the clean base you're looking for. So I know this sounds like a really tedious thing to do, but trust me when I say that those few extra minutes are really just going to make your look appear so much more sharp and precise. I'm just going back in with the primer, relining that line and cleaning it all up. Now on the same brush as I used before, I'm picking up that deeper red shade and applying it to the first portion of my crease. So I don't use this color scheme often at all. Red, orange and yellow isn't really something I tend to go for. So thank you to all of you who voted for this color scheme because you got me to try something different today. So now picking up that lighter red shade, I'm just going to repeat what I did under my brow bone and I'm just going to blend out the deeper red. So I do want to say, if you are wanting to create more intricate looks, it is really worth it to buy a really small detail blending brush. It's just going to make it so much easier to blend in smaller areas, and I know a lot of the time when using a bigger brush, it is really difficult to do that. So as you can see, I've packed that yellow on. I'm now picking up the Morphe E22. Now I usually like to take a bigger blending brush and just buff out the inner portion just before completing my blend. So now you're going to go ahead and cut the inner portion of your crease. So just to go over again how I do this, I always like to line out and create a guideline of where exactly I want to cut my crease. After creating this guideline, I then go in with a wet wipe and clean it all up. You can also use a brush and some micellar water, but I personally just prefer using a wet wipe. Now I'm just taking more of that eye primer and patting that all onto my eyelid. So I forgot to mention this, but when you are patting your primers or your concealers onto your eye, you want to make sure that it's patted in and set properly. Often if there are still patches that are a little bit wet, they can go patchy when you apply eyeshadow to them because the eyeshadow just sticks to them. I'm now picking up the Morphe M149, which is a slightly bigger blending brush, and I'm going to start blending these same shades onto my eyelid. So as you can see, I've used a piece of tape. So the purpose of the tape is to just get a really sharp line. You can draw the line out yourself, but honestly it's a lot easier to use the tape, and it just saves you a lot of time on cleaning up the edge. Also, how satisfying was that little puff of eyeshadow? I loved that. I do apologize for the constant bird and car noises in the background. There is nothing I can do about those right now. So we are almost finished with this look. So I'm just grabbing all of the shades I used before and blending them onto my eyelid. So going in with that yellow eyeshadow, I'm just blending that up just below my crease. So if I can give you guys a little tip that I personally feel helps create a seamless blend, it is to go in with your eyeshadows and repeatedly apply them. So basically, as you can see here, I've applied the yellow and the red really just looks like a mess. So I've gone back in with the red and blended that until I'm happy, and then I've gone back in with the deeper red. So this just allows for you to build up your blend and get it to a point where it is seamless. Now picking up the Essence Metal Art Liner in the shade 03 Copyright, I thought to add this to the first portion of my crease as I feel like it just finishes the look up a bit more. Lastly, I'm going to go ahead with the same shades and just apply them to my lower lash line. Then I'm going to pop on some mascara and lashes. I'm now just picking up a small amount of the Check Cosmetics Glow Powder. This one is in the shade Beach Day. And I'm just going to use a small amount of that to highlight my brow bone, as well as my inner corner. I love this highlighter. I think it's so pretty. This is then the final look. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I really hope I did the look you guys picked out for me justice. If you enjoyed watching this video, please give it a thumbs up, comment down below, and don't forget to subscribe. Bye!